Okay, everyone, so we are back to our regularly scheduled program with my normal filming equipment. And yeah, so I'm back home now, and waiting in the mail for me were these fountain pen brush pens. They come in a set of 5, and I have bought these before in the past, but like 3 out of the lot were not working properly. The mechanisms on these were not functioning well, and I figured, you know, they were $15 I think for a set of 5, which is still really cheap for this whatever appears to be nice quality with the acrylic and the nice weight to it, and it has a cap that threads on and off, so you unscrew it and it actually does post, so you can just push it on. And if you're not familiar with the way that most fountain pens work, they could be kind of confusing. So unless they open up and you put the ink in the actual barrel, then they can be kind of confusing. So what you're supposed to do, and I'm going all over the place right now, so this one says LT on it because it's a lighter version of ink, and this is the darker version. I wanted to put 2 different colors of, or not colors, but shades, gradations of ink in here. And how I did that originally was I put half water and half ink in this little bottle here so I could refill my other one that refills from the top, but this one I had to put it in a dish and draw it up into the pen from the dish. So I will show you an empty one and then show you how that works so I don't accidentally empty out all my ink from that one. This is Higgins drawing ink. It is relatively inexpensive. Its price is very wide range depending on where you get it from. It should only be around $3 or $4 a bottle, but sometimes Amazon sells them for like 10. I think I got this at a used art supply. It was barely used. I think I paid like $2 for it, but it's relatively inexpensive ink. It is waterproof. I think they have 2 kinds. I like the waterproof so I can do watercolor over it or whatever. Yeah, so that's enough about the ink. I'm gonna show you, for the sake of confusion, because these can be kind of confusing. I think there's a lot of other fountain pens that aren't brush tip that load like this. So what you would do is this little mechanism, it's called a plunger, and you would make sure that it's all the way down, so it actually has a little click that keeps it in place, and you would unclick it and then roll it all the way down, and then you would dip it into the ink and draw it all the way up like a syringe, and then hear it click, and then it will hold it, like lock it like that, so that you can use it without the thing falling down and flooding your page. 2 out of 3 of these mechanisms on these pens of the 5 that I got didn't work the greatest, but they were still totally usable. So those are the 2 that I filled up, and I saved my super good ones that work perfectly for, yeah, I'm just saving those off to the side because I still want to make sure that these function properly as far as the tip. And so I thought I would use the 2 that weren't, that weren't the best out of the 5. I also have just a regular micron pen here that's super black because the Higgins drawing ink, once I pushed it up into the pen and I was drawing, did a little scribbles on like a scrap piece of paper, it wasn't as black, and this ink doesn't dry as dark as it looks when it's first hitting the page when it's wet. So, do I have any black on my hands? I don't know, I tend to get ink on myself no matter what I do whenever I work with it. I also have a little paintbrush here just to add water if I wanted to lighten it up even more, because you can similar to watercolor, you can go in while the ink is still wet and feather it out or lighten it up. This is just my, which one was this? The CUPPA clip watercolor paper that I'm still kind of trying out. And this is just using a lot of gouache in here. But I am going to try the ink on this paper. Make sure I'm in frame. Alright, now I have not drawn with brush pens in quite a while. And the Pentel pocket brush pens, they were a little hard for me to maneuver and work with because the tips on them were a lot bigger than these. They were like longer and fatter, and they were a little harder for me to control. These are smaller and skinnier, and hopefully I can draw a little bit better with these. And they're also refillable, as you can see, you know. I just want to be careful when I'm putting this little cap on here, not to, it does have a little bit of give before you hear the click. If you hear that click, then this thing could come loose and your ink could possibly just like spill out. So the click is there to keep it locked. And yeah, so I'm going to put it on there kind of not too tightly so it just sits on there. I also let my Pentels dry up by accident because, oh yeah, it still kind of floods a little bit, so you would have to be careful of that. Because I was holding it upside down, I didn't use it right away. And these are still in the trial stage, so which one am I using? Am I using light? No, I'm using the super dark one, the full strength. And yeah, I am not the greatest at drawing with the brush pen. I don't even know if I still have videos up of me drawing with brush pens. And if I do, they are probably like water brushes or something, because I did make a few water brushes this way where I just filled the water brush up with ink and those just kind of dump out. I wasn't that successful with those. Now yeah, that's what I'm really checking for when I use these, to see if they're going to leak or if the ink is going to be hard to control coming out of it. It does have a nice fine tip on it, but I guess that really isn't going to matter if the ink is just dumping. And I do like the way that ink looks on watercolor paper. It tends to absorb in a really nice way. You guys like bored of my little faces? It's just my go-to thing. It's just like, you know, what I do when I'm don't want to think about anything. Let's see. I've just been looking for a nice, easy, inexpensive refillable fountain pen that has a brush tip. And I think if you look on Amazon, these are just called fountain pen, brush tip fountain pens or something like that, set of 5. And I think if you don't include that wording, set of 5, you're just going to get something that isn't these. And they might not be they might just be fountain pens, or they might just be brush pens. They're not going to be the combo. I haven't found any that came close to this idea, and that's kind of why I like them, because it's more of a concept item, where of course Pentel has already kind of cornered the market on brush pens, and so has Tombow, and I don't know who else, like everybody, but they're not refillable though. Pentel, you can buy the refills, you can buy the little cartridges, and you have to kind of like specify whether or not it's the waterproof or the non-waterproof ink. I think they come in non-waterproof ink, and you have to like specifically look for the ones that are not, or that are waterproof. But this, I have a lot of different types of fountain pen ink, and I really wanted to put them in something. And I've tried to put those in the water brushes, and they just clog and they ruin the water brush. I've tried acrylic ink, and of course, as you could probably guess, that had a similar outcome. It did not flow nicely after, I mean, initially, yeah, it does, but then it'll dry on the brush tip and just cause it to clog. And then it's done after that. Once that happens, you no longer have a refillable brush pen. So these, as you can imagine, are probably pretty easy to clean. As soon as you're getting low, you can either refill it, or you can draw up some water into it and flush it out a bunch of times. Maybe even use alcohol. I don't know how that would affect the glue that holds these bristles in. I would assume that that is fairly resistant to solvents, because different fountain pen inks have different makeup. But yeah, I just really wanted to try this little idea of fountain pens with a brush tip, because me and the Pentel don't exactly get along. I mean, of course that's my fault, because I'm just not good at it, but, and what this is telling me right now is it takes a nice slow steady line, but if you wanted to try to like fill things in and color with it, not so much. It's probably where your water and your brush will come in. Which is what I will do now. So this is the same strength of ink in the little dish here that I have that's also in the pen. And then you can just get like bigger, broader, wider application. But yeah, you can, I think it's a good thing to sketch with, because you can get your initial line work down, and then it's not so intense. You can just go over it with a different pen or a micron or a paintbrush. I think the final test of these will be to see if they clog. How long do they last before the ink's not flowing out of that tip anymore, But yeah, I hope you guys are having a good 4th of July. It's not quite dark here yet, so we haven't heard the fireworks popping off. So I'm going to get some water and just do a couple of washes. Start out kind of light. This ink always looks so dark, and then it ends up not being very dark. You can see it's dry now. My initial first line work is dry, and it looks pretty light, doesn't it? A lot lighter than it did when I first put it. So let's see. I always like the ink and wash look. It's very classic, very buildable. You don't go in too heavy at first. I didn't follow my initial sketch line there. Her mouth got off center, so let's try to fix that. This is ink, so yeah. It's kind of hard to fix once you mess up. But yeah, I mean, I really just wanted to show you guys these pens and let you know that they are out there if you wanted to try something that was similar to a brush pen, or I mean it is a brush pen, but similar to the regular commercial brush pens that are out there for like a fraction of the price. I mean, I hope as I test it out it'll work the way I'm hoping, so that I can stop looking. Yeah, so I guess I will let you guys go there, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and night, and whatever you're doing tonight, I hope you all are safe. And I will see you in the next